Good morning and welcome to Something to Talk About from the Bainbridge Island Seniors Community Center, sponsored by Fieldstone Memory Care, Bainbridge Island. Fieldstone offers innovative and compassionate care, now accepting residents. Call 360-271-2530 to schedule a tour of Fieldstone's beautifully appointed apartments on Rolling Bay today. But today, it is my extreme pleasure to introduce you to Katie Auger, who is our very own community resource navigator. And she also works with Island Volunteer Caregivers. Good morning, Katie.
Hey, good morning, Karen. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate it. And welcome to everybody who's joining us today. Like Karen said, I am the Community Resource Navigator, and my role, I have this wonderful opportunity to work both with the Bainbridge Island Community Senior Center and also Island Volunteer Caregivers. And my main role with both organizations is to be, as my title suggests, a community resource person for anyone in the community, any of our members at the center, anyone through IVC. And really just to connect and talk about what resources might be available. You know, a lot of things that come up and, come my way, people looking for resources for finding caregivers, people looking for just general support, people who maybe have a loved one with dementia or they themselves have dementia. So we just talk through and try to make sure that we get people connected to the right resources, the right people, so that way we can all get the support that we need. I'll open it up to questions, but I'm happy to also continue to go on and just talk to you about some of the other projects that we're working on with the two organizations. But if anyone has questions right off the bat, please feel free to jump in.
I think we're good.
Okay, well, I'll keep moving along then. Before we started the call, we were just talking with a few folks that this past Saturday, we had our Community Resource Fair, our Oktoberfest Community Resource Fair over at the center. I think it was a great success. We had organizations all throughout the community come. It was really wonderful. I was kind of holding my breath because I know folks are still kind of, testing the waters in terms of what they're comfortable with getting back out into the community and joining activities such as this. But it was really wonderful. I think I heard that we had about 100 people turn out for the event, which was really great. If you happen to hear about the resource fair and weren't able to attend, or if you're learning about the resource fair right now, fear not, those resources are all still available to you. There's so much great information out there. And I would really encourage you to contact either the Senior Center. You can also contact IVC. And I'll make sure we get the phone numbers in order to reach me or anyone else through the organization to be able to get you connected to those resources. A couple other things that I just wanted to mention. So another great resource that we have that was put together by a partnership of multiple organizations, including the Bainbridge Island Senior Community Center, including Island Volunteer Caregivers, and many other partners, was the Bainbridge Island Resource Directory, which is an online directory of local resources. There's tons of great different organizations and programs that you can search for on the site. I won't go too much into it, but we did do a presentation earlier this year on the Bainbridge Island Resource Directory, where I kind of walk everyone through the directory, give you a sense of what it looks like and how to use it. I'll again make sure that I get that posted before we sign off today, so you know where to go to find that information. But again, that's something you can absolutely call me for, and I'll make sure that you get that website if for some reason you're not able to track it today. But again, that is the Bainbridge Island Resource Directory, our online directory, another great resource and tool. Another program that I just wanted to share, which is another new partnership between the Senior Center and Island Volunteer Caregivers that we're really excited about. It's currently in the test phase right now, so we've just got a few people joined and started through that program. And that is our tablet loan program. And this is where we have iPad tablets that we are loaning out to our community members. So folks who don't have access to technology, access to a computer or a tablet of any sort, are able to borrow one from us at no cost. And it's been really exciting so far. We have trained volunteers at both IVC and the center to be able to use these devices. And then they are matched with a participant in the program who receives the device. And what's really great, and I'm so jealous about this, because what we do is each participant is matched one-on-one with a tech volunteer. So they basically have their own personal tech volunteer to be able to help them problem solve if they run into any issues, if they want to learn something new or learn how to access something. They have one of these wonderful volunteers to help walk them through and use the devices. So again, this is kind of in our test pilot program here, but so far we've gotten 9 devices out. It's been going really well. I think one of the really big exciting things is for folks who have never been able to use video chat before, in different programs. So they, for the first time, have been able to video chat their loved ones. So this whole pandemic that I know we've all been through, and it's been so terribly hard to be away from our friends and family. And I know some of us have been able to, find the technology and figure out ways to do video chats, but I'm sure you can imagine for folks who have not yet been able to do this whole time, it's been a really big and exciting deal for them. So we're really excited about that. You can expect to hear more on that program and just how it's going. Again, we're very excited about that. I'll just stop again. I know I've been rambling just to see if anyone has any questions about any of the programs I've mentioned, or else I can share maybe 1 or 2 more, and then we can again try to open it up for questions. Okay.
Katie, do you have all of those iPads been given out?
Yes, so we currently have all the iPads out, and the way that the program works is that, we will check in from time to time just to see and make sure that people are still using the iPad, that it's still useful for them and that they'd like to continue to use it. So it's not like you just borrow it for 2 weeks and then you have to give it back. We'll let people use it ongoing, so long as they're still using it, so long as they're still in the area. If you plan to move to Texas, we'd ask that you return it to the center, but otherwise people are able to continue using it. And currently we've gotten all the tablets out there right now. So
So are there any people that were on a waiting list for a tablet, or are there enough for right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are keeping a waiting list. We're looking into the possibility of getting some additional tablets, but right now we're just currently with our 9 tablets. We'll kind of see how long our waiting list gets and see how we manage it. But if you happen to know of somebody, or you yourself think that you would really be a good candidate for the tablet program and you'd be interested, I would say certainly reach out to me at the center, and I can just talk more about the program and see if we can't, get you on the waiting list. Again, we'll kind of see how long the list grows and how many tablets we have available at any point in time. But yeah, we think it's a really big deal to be able to offer this technology to folks, especially given what we've all been through during the pandemic.
That communication is so important. And I'm just wondering if there's some way that we could find, maybe people have just tablets laying around they're not using anymore. Maybe we could do some kind of outreach for people to donate.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, because I know, for different reasons, either some people, have the, technology skills, but maybe don't have access to a device, or, maybe vice versa, so that's a good question. And again, feel free to reach out, and, we can kind of see too, if there's other programs or other ways to get connected. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other questions? Okay, well, maybe I'll go ahead and just talk about another thing that I want to mention, and this is not something that's been rolled out yet, but folks can expect to start hearing about this hopefully in the not too distant future. We have been working a bit with the city of Bainbridge, and we are trying to get out a robocall to folks in the community. I know if you have a cell phone, you might be signed up for Nixle, which will give you different emergency alerts about things that are, if there's an accident or if there's, extreme weather and where to go to find a shelter. But I know not everybody has access to text and email. So what we have suggested doing is putting out a robocall from the city, so people who have landlines, who aren't able to, again, use email or text, would still be able to be notified in the case of an emergency. So again, if we, knock on wood, we don't get, any major extreme weather this year, but you never know. And so, if we were to have another big snowstorm and you have concerns about losing power, you will know where the warming centers are, where to go, when they will be open. If there's other emergencies that happen, that you would be able to be notified. So again, that's kind of in the works right now. So just keep an ear out for that. We will be sure to make sure people, we'll put out the promotion so people are aware of how it works. People can choose to opt in or out. So if you really are not interested in getting those calls from the city, you're not required to, but I think it is a really nice service that's available for those of us who, rely on a landline or don't have a texting capability.
Mhm.
So,
Excellent.
yeah.
So when does that start, the robocalls?
Yeah, that's a great question, Sheila. I think it's going to be starting here fairly soon. I don't have all the details, the dates of when that's going to be rolling out, but I know we're starting to get that in place here fairly quickly. So, and we can definitely, add this to one of our something to talk about presentations so people understand, what it is, how it works, and to make sure that, people are getting those calls if they want them and opting out if they don't want them.
Excellent. So
Fantastic.
that's how we'll find out, is through this.
It very well could be, yeah, depending on how folks get their information. We'll, like I said, we'll promote it through IVC, we'll promote it through the Bainbridge Island Community Center, and we'll do what we can to get the word out. I'm sure the city of Bainbridge will also help to promote it as well. So yeah, keep your eyes and ears out for that program to begin. We're really excited about that.
I think that's a great idea. Great.
And
Yeah.
Reed's Monday emails that he sends, I know pretty much everybody reads them, and that would be another way to get that information out to the emails and our website and our Facebook page. It goes on and on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That's a great suggestion. I mean, I know it's nice to try to get it out there in as many ways as you can, because I know we all sort of take in information differently, and some things work better than others to catch our attention. So yeah, thank you. But that's great. I think we could do it in the Monday email and on the STTA, and then word of mouth, of course. So I know one of the best things is when we have our folks, our community members, that are able to talk to their neighbors, talk to their friends, talk to their family members. That truly seems to be one of the best ways to get information out there. So
agreed. Yeah. I have dealt with that firsthand. So
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yes. So if people would be open to sharing, one thing, well, let me back up here. So one of my other roles with the Senior Community Center is to help have presenters come and do things like STTA. When we're doing more in person, I'll have organizations come and speak to us. Independent Living from HRB, Helpline House, our county area agency on aging, which is Kitsap Aging and Long-Term Care Services. There's so much, out there. So that's part of what my role is to be able to, get folks connected, but to have presentations as well. But one thing that's super helpful for me is getting feedback from the community and from people about what they really want to hear about, what they want to learn about, what's missing. I am here and I am happy to share all that I can, but the joy of my job is I'm really getting to connect with all these experts who just really know about these different topics and resources, and making sure people get connected to them. So if anybody has something on their mind right now that you think, gosh, I would love to learn about this, or I would love to hear from, an expert on this topic, put it out there, because I am so glad to try to make whatever connections I can. And, I know everybody at the center is, so that when we have these conversations, that we're really having them on topics that people are interested in. So if anybody wants to share any thoughts or ideas right now, that's awesome. So please go right ahead.
I have something I want to share that happened to me on Monday. I'd been at the resource fair, and of course it's amazing. And but I had to go have a blood draw on Monday down at St. Michael's, and there was a gal in front of me that was checking in with an elderly gentleman, and she was a home health care worker, and she asked the gal, "Can I get a COVID test here?" And of course the gal was alarmed, and she's like, no. And she goes, "Oh, I'm fine." She goes, "I have a caregiver or somebody I work for wants me to get a test," because she has multiple people she does in-home caregiving for. And the gal behind the counter could not help her. So I had to pipe up. Speaking of one-on-one, I said, "There are 4 places in Kitsap County that you can go get a test 4 days a week." And I said, "It's no cost." And she goes, "Well, these tests at the they're $17. Well, she's a home health care worker. She's not rolling in the bucks, right? So I said, "Well, go to the Kitsap County Public Health and then see where COVID testing is." And the gal behind the desk working at the hospital, she's like, she didn't know. And the home health care worker didn't know. And it's so frustrating to see that. Why do I not know about these kinds of things? I mean, a little outreach you can get there. You go to a website or something, but it was stunning to me, Katie, to see the lack of knowledge out there for people to get help. So,
yeah. You bring up such a great point. And I know particularly with the testing, where to go to get vaccines, that information is also constantly changing. I mean, it's enough to make your head spin, because it's either like you go places looking for this information, and nobody seems to know, or or what was true last week is now completely different this week. It is really hard. But you're right. I think, Kitsap Public Health, a great reliable resource of, where to be able to get that information. And again, even small things, I know not everybody has access to the internet. And so sometimes it is a matter of going online and trying to, figure out what's the best phone number to call, where to get the information, what hours are places open and available to do testing, to do vaccines. So, even something like that, we always encourage people, don't hesitate to reach out to us, if you feel like that you don't have another easy way to get that information, for sure. And,
yeah, I was lucky because we both had to wait to have our appointments, and she's sitting there in her smartphone, and she finds the 4 places in Kitsap County and what days. And she looked at me, she goes, "Thank you so much." She goes, "I had no idea." And I was like, and so I think that you're right, Katie, this one-on-one communication is so important. So, just disseminate. And now she'll go tell probably her fellow at-home caregivers about this also. So I just think that if we just get this out there and help you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's like you are like a natural ambassador for community resource navigating. I mean, thank you. You're absolutely right. It's so wonderful and helpful when we can work together to get information out there. And honestly, that's a great way for me to learn about things going on in the community. I can search all day and all night online gathering these resources, but it's really because of the relationship building and learning from one another that I'm able to get this information. So I completely agree. It's a huge benefit. It really is. You know, and of course, if you're ever unsure about information or something doesn't quite seem right and you want to verify it, that's great too. And, you know, we can always, you know, look things up together, just verify, make sure we're getting the right information. But yeah, having that word of mouth is just really, really helpful. Especially to reach people who don't have, you know, the same access to technology and information. I know so much is online these days.
Mhm.
You know, and I think you really bring up a great point, and I was going to touch on that as well, and kind of again go back to this robocall that we're looking to do, is because we know that not everybody has access to computers and to internet, and we really found that. I'm sure some of you may be all too painfully aware of the fact that when the vaccines were rolled out, you were required to go online and you'd have to enter in an email and you would have to register that way. So for those of us who don't have email, don't easily have computer access, that was a really stressful period for folks to be able to sign up and get the vaccine. I'm sure many of you knew too that you tried it. For those who were able to get online, you probably quickly realized that all of a sudden everything would kind of shut down. You'd think you were signed up and about ready to hit the, you know, confirm my appointment. And then all of a sudden you'd find that you don't actually have an appointment. And yeah, and you know, I'm certainly not trying to knock the system at all. I know it was obviously very stressful and we're all kind of learning as we go here. But yeah, I know that it was really problematic for a lot of people. And so we're really trying to think creatively about how we can make sure that people are getting the information and have access, you know, to things like the vaccine. I know between the community center and IVC, we really worked to try to make sure that we were reaching out to our community members or making ourselves available to folks who didn't have a way to sign up. Our incredible volunteers totally stepped up and were able to go online and get people registered for the vaccine. So it was an awesome effort, but I know very stressful at times for people. And yeah, I hope there were some good lessons learned through that whole process.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we learned through this whole pandemic is that, you know, where our weaknesses and strengths are. And so to keep that going in a time when we're not in crisis is really important, I think.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And again, I love that you point out too that there's the strengths as well. I mean, obviously, there were some very, you know, challenging things that we all know and understand that. But also to see people come together and really, you know, reach out and connect and care for others, you know, as best they could, especially as we were all going through such a stressful and scary time. I think, you know, we all did what we could in our own ways, and whether it was small or big, I mean, it is really inspiring to see. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that gives us some hope.
We live in a great community.
Yeah, truly, truly. Yeah. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts?
I have a question, Katie, and I'm Susan Leck, and I know Sheila and Madeline and Karen, and I knew Marcy years ago in the French conversation group. Anyway, so I just turned my video and my sound on. You know, this is about technology, and it's not really asking about free resources that you can provide, or even the, you know, the computers. I'm sitting in my home in front of my iMac, but I thought this might be a group to ask who is good on the island, especially good in working with seniors, when they have computer issues. You know, does anybody, some that you would recommend? I can afford to call somebody. I used to manage with my husband, but actually, and you'll be surprised, Sheila and Karen, he's not really on the computer much anymore. And I get into issues that he's not kept up with. And, you know, it might be security or it might be something else. And anyway, I can do a lot of stuff, but sometimes I run into a wall, and I reach out to my daughter who works for Google and is a computer scientist, but she's very, very busy, you know, and we screen share. And I don't know if I might be willing to have somebody even come into my home and we would be masked and I'd open the window here, or that I could screen share with and get some help. So, you know, I just wonder about those kind of resources on the island. Sheila, thank you.
Hi there. I
Hey
know
there,
you, Susan.
Sheila.
Where have
Yes.
you been all my life? My goodness. I recognize that back porch though.
Well, Jim was through some serious cancer a couple of years ago, and I'm still kind of a part-time caregiver, and my life's just even busier in COVID. So,
Well, I've got a person for you
Okay.
because his name is James Friday.
all
Friday, like
right,
the name of the week.
right.
He has done a lot of work. He now is a manager here at Winslow Arms, but
Okay.
before that, he was doing a lot of work with the elders here in Winslow Arms, elsewhere as well.
Yeah, thank you, Susan, for bringing that up, and thank you, Sheila, for giving your recommendation. I will say, in general, that has been one of the challenges we find ourselves in, both with IVC and the Senior Community Center, is finding that balance of wanting to be helpful and and get people information. But also, trying to be careful in terms of, making recommendations for any sort of business, or organization that's, a for-profit. So we're still trying to figure that out and navigate it. I know with the Bainbridge Island Resource Directory, we're constantly in conversation about, how we can try to get, resources like that on the site. But again, to do so in a way that we're not trying to, promote any business over another, and also just making sure that people are truly qualified and licensed and bonded, depending
Yes.
on what field of work that they're in. But honestly, that, that's a big thing that I encourage people to do. So if it's, maybe an area where I'm not able to make a suggestion or recommendation of place, asking, friends and neighbors. I know the Senior Community and Center in general has been such an awesome place for folks to mingle. And I know these conversations come up so people can say, oh, you know what? I just had the most, fabulous handy person come out and I really trust them. They did a wonderful job, and being able to get those recommendations that way. Now, again, because we're not all doing things in person, I know we're kind of missing out on those opportunities, but again, popping in to these calls, or, as the opportunity arises, talking to people in your neighborhood, friends, you never know, who's out there that maybe has a really great contact, for you to get in touch with. So.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate being able to just, again, with connections here, ask that question. Thank you.
It was so good to see Puget Sound energy at the resource fair. It was, it really is our energy and electricity, especially here on the island, is such a, it's really healthy. And it was so good to see them, and two young people there. I was happy to talk to them, and they were a wealth of information. So fantastic.
Yes.
It was lovely to talk with them too. I was so glad to go out and say thank you for their customer service, because as far as I'm concerned, as difficult a job as that is with BISCC, what a wonderful group. I don't know whoever it is that I ever get on the telephone when I'm calling in to find out what's going on and why is my power out and so on and so forth. They are so genuinely pleasant, they're very, very nice, and of course informative too, as far as they can be.
And Dana Gargis, it was so good to talk to her too. I mean, a lot of people don't realize the county services that happen. And Dana, I know it's frustrating for Dana. She's like, people, it's like, yeah, I said, I'm trying to get it out there, Dana, that, there really is help.
Dana Gargis is our county's long-term care ombudsman.
Oh, yeah.
So if any time you have concerns or a loved one has concerns, is in a care facility, a long-term care facility, Dana is your person. Again, she has this incredible group of volunteer who will go out and meet with folks, figure out what it is that's going on within the long-term care agency, and really, you know, offer that advocacy and support. I will also, yeah, I'm such a fan of Dana. I mean, she's really incredible. She knows just so much about our area agency on aging and the different resources that we have in the county as well. I will tell you, I frequently, if not always, mention to folks about Kitsap Aging and Long-Term Care Services. I know sometimes people hear that title, which is a nice big long title for an organization, and there's kind of that knee-jerk reaction of you hear long-term care and you think, oh, a nursing care facility. No, that's not what I want. But truly, that is not what it's all about. There's so much more to what they can provide. You know, they have a dementia care specialist that will meet with folks who are experiencing dementia with loved ones. They get folks connected to Meals on Wheels. They have access to legal services. They have a caregiver support center, which is for folks who are caring for loved ones. Great resources. They can help you understand, you know, what programs are available to you. Yeah, gosh, I'm just like tip of the iceberg. I mean, they really are just so helpful. And again, they have so many wonderful programs. You can get limited free mental health counseling. Folks can access 3 sessions of mental health counseling, and then from there they can also get you connected to other resources, services for counseling. We are really lucky that on Bainbridge Island, Helpline House offers free counseling, which is, I think, a really big deal. So if anybody is not aware of that, you can contact Helpline House. They can get you connected to one of their counselors there. But again, you can also access through the county limited counseling services as well. So, you know, I always encourage folks, you know, give them a call. They're so happy to talk to people and get information out there. You know, even if you find you're not necessarily needing these programs currently, but if you're just thinking ahead about the future and want to know what's out and available and what you have access to, I really encourage people to give them a call and just, you know, find out what they're about and just be introduced to the organization. I know they always love to emphasize this, and I love to emphasize it too. These are our tax dollars at work. So you have paid for these services through your tax dollars. So why not use them? Take advantage of it if you can. And again, they're really wonderful. Honestly, I find myself calling them frequently too, just to make sure that I'm up to date on what resources are available and to just stay connected to their program. So yeah, another great one. So yeah, thank you, Karen, for bringing up Dana Gargis as well. So
my pleasure.
And like I said, I know there's a lot of information flying around out there. And if either if I did mention something that you're interested in, or I didn't mention something and maybe you'd rather just talk about it one-on-one, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can connect with me either by calling the Senior Community Center at the 842-1616 phone number. You can also reach me through IVC. I'm fine being contacted at either location. IVC's phone number is 206-842-4441. And I've put that in the chat for anybody who's joining us today. And again, it's my pleasure to connect at any point in time. So, and thank you, Karen, for hosting. I really appreciate that.